I'm Susan Page, Washington Bureau Chief of USA Today, and this is Capitol Download. We're in the New York offices of Dr. Henry Kissinger, the former Secretary of State, advisor to presidents, and author of a new book, his 21st. It's called World Order. Thank you so much for being with us.
Great pleasure.
President Obama is slated to deliver a speech Wednesday outlining his strategy toward ISIS. What should Americans understand when they think about the challenge of dealing with this threat?
Well, there are two aspects to this threat as far as I look at it. The first is when Americans are decapitated on television, innocent Americans, that is a humiliation and insult to the United States. And that requires a reaction that makes it clear that the United States does not permit this to happen to its citizens. And for that, I have advocated some attack on ISIS, known ISIS installations, as an American decision. And the second problem is how to destroy ISIS as an institution. I think eliminating them from an area this volatile and of such general importance to the world, and a region that also has countries like Iran, which have a separate issue, is important. At the same time, in presenting this, we have to keep in mind that we've been in 5 wars, of which since World War II, and in only one can we say we've reached the objective we stated. So we should state the objective in a manner that does not get us into an endless conflict.
Is it realistic for the United States to think that we can destroy ISIS, or is it a matter simply of trying to curtail it or contain it enough so that it is less of a threat?
As I said, I don't like us to state an objective that then will become an issue of public debate. I think we should eliminate ISIS as an operating force in the region. We should deprive ISIS of the capacity to operate over a substantial area and to threaten established institutions as a unit.
And when you think about the timetable here, ISIS, something most Americans had never heard of a few months ago, is this something that will take years to do you think?
I cannot believe that it will take years to eliminate ISIS as an aggressive, threatening force. It may continue to exist to some extent as a terrorist group, but as a militarily operating force threatening the existence of countries and the structure of the region, that should be doable within a measurable time.
And the president,
if we do it with enough intensity.
The president has ruled out essentially U.S. ground troops. Should that be ruled out, or should that be something that we keep in our arsenal as a possibility?
I think we should rule out ground troops as a main operating element. We should be able to put together the natural enemies of ISIS are the Sunnis that want to live a normal existence. And there, if you look at countries like Saudi Arabia, Jordan, even Turkey, have an interest in not having such a group at their borders. It may be, one reads about special forces that try to liberate prisoners. I would leave that possibility open. But American ground troops operating behind established military lines and in a normal military procedure, I don't think are necessary or appropriate.
You've had a lot of experience dealing with Congress when it comes to big foreign policy and national security issues. The president's going to meet with congressional leaders on Tuesday. How should members of Congress be supportive of him, do you think? I mean, we have a situation where there's so much criticism and polarization, even on issues of foreign policy. What should the congressional response be?
I think when the President of the United States calls for military action, he should do it for a united people, especially when the cause is such a patent one, when the methods have been so cruel, so explicitly directed at Americans. So I hope that even the critics, even those who would want to do more or less, will recognize that once the president has decided on a course of action, that is what we will be judged by. It could happen that down the road, others and I will make comments, but at this moment, I think it's important to support the president.
Your book is titled World Order. We don't seem to have very much world order these days. Here's one thing you wrote in your book. You wrote, "Are we facing a period in which forces beyond the restraints of any order determine the future?" Are we?
That's the challenge of our time. It's never happened in history that every region of the world could affect every other region simultaneously. The Roman Empire and the Chinese Empire didn't know much about each other and had no means of interacting. Now we have every continent able to reach every other, but the ideas of the nature of peace and the nature of order, as they have not developed in a symmetrical way, it's the ultimate task of statesmen to try to find an order that the whole world can accept as just and secure. And the United States, as the strongest nation, and the one with the broadest tradition in that respect, has a special obligation. But we can't do it alone.
It was 40 years ago today that President Ford pardoned President Nixon. And I wonder, do you remember what you thought at the time about that?
I thought that what Ford did was an act of humanity, of necessity. Nixon had done outstanding things in foreign policy for the United States. And to put him on public trial would have been a humiliation unbearable for him, and probably hard to bear for the country. As far as I know, Ford did not discuss it with anybody. He told me a few hours before, and I thought it was an extremely courageous act, and one that does enormous credit to President Ford.
Dr. Henry Kissinger, thank you for joining us on Capitol Download.